we're gonna be sharing this video to people that might don't know you or want to learn more about you. So I'm gonna ask some questions that I think some other people will appreciate. So,
yeah.
Hence the first one. So you start playing piano at the age of 4, and tell me about the beginnings.
I started when I was like 13, 14 years old, and I was already playing piano. My dad had an old keyboard, and I was just messing around, trying to learn songs, very basic. And I think the connection with dance music I didn't really had yet, and that slowly came when I was like 13, 14. And then I was like, wait, I kind of want to make my own music. And then playing piano was kind of nice to combine it, and that's kind of how it started.
From mastering piano, going to turntables, slightly different world, if I may.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, one is producing, one is DJing. I think nowadays still a lot of people think it's kind of the same. But I figured that, I thought DJs were quite cool, like DJing at a show with people in front of you. So it was kind of both what I really liked. I knew I had to make my own music, and of course being able to play that is another thing, like that would be super cool. But at least I knew I had to do both. I had to practice DJing, but also know how to make music.
And did you came across any challenges to become a DJ?
Oh yeah, a lot, yeah,
What
every day.
What challenges you had?
Well, the first challenge was buying a DJ set, because I mean, you're 13, you're just waiting for your birthday to get money from your parents. So that's kind of how it started, and then releasing music, like getting your music out, connecting with other DJs and producers, is always a challenge. And I think the struggle got even more and more when you're longer in the scene. Because it's getting more difficult. Like you're slowly building your name, and you're depending more on it. So and social media is not really nice in my opinion. So it's like there's so many difficult things.
I want to tap back to the DJ, to the start of your journey. Is that so? What was your first kit, and what was your first achievement in terms of what was the moment that you thought, oh, I can actually do this? Because you've got two turntables, you kind of have to put the two records together to make it another bridge, but yet bring these emotions from both to elevate the audience.
I think the first moment for me was, I could already DJ a little bit, but the first moment for me was actually doing a show in front of people. Also friends were standing there, and it was like a pretty decent venue, but it was the first time I was actually playing for just not only my parents but just also other people, and I actually wanted to bail out right before going on stage, and then my sister kind of pushed me on stage, and then I did it. It went well, played for an hour, and that was for me the first time I was like, okay, maybe this is actually something that I want to continue with.
What was the holdback that you thought, oh, maybe it's not for me?
Many times. Also recently, it's a weird industry. Like, as an outsider, you would think it's just, it's music, but it's so much more. You're basically running a company. You're paying people to do things. There's so many people involved. Pressure. So. Your
first hit record was a Feel Good, right?
Yeah.
But the one that kind of reached a huge global audience of 147 million streams. I want to ask you about the feeling that you had behind making this production. Was it a good feeling?
It was a good feeling, yeah. It was. I remember back then it was more. I wasn't really thinking about where this track should be played or what kind of audience. I was very. Very open-minded. I just wanted to make cool music, and that changes after a while. Then you're just thinking too much about, this should be a track for radio, blah blah blah. But I think in that time still, I was just making music, and then that turned out.
In terms of the thought process now, when you have okay, I've reached this audience, 140, 70 million, and then if you see the numbers slightly drop, what's the feeling? Do you think like, oh, did I make it, or is what did I do wrong, or does it impact the way you think when you create music?
Yeah, it's very difficult because you have peaks and you have very low ends as well,
But don't get me wrong, like 65 or 55 million streams is
but no, I get what you
amazing,
mean.
But it's just like you see those differences, and it's like, is that affecting you?
Of course, yeah. If you release a track and it doesn't really do as good as the one before, then you're gonna think, or is it the track, or is it the time, or not the right audience? I don't know. You're gonna question yourself a lot. That is really affecting you and the way you make music, the way you think during the production process as well. That all has an influence on it.
And how do you overcome these challenges?
You just have to keep going, and I think the most important thing is quality of music. Just make sure the quality is high, and then a track can not do well, but as long as you think the quality is good, then I think you should just be happy.
I think your audience appreciate the quality because you reach so many people, and that says a lot. And also you play festivals like Ultra and Tomorrowland. And how's to play in front of like so many like people? What's the feeling?
Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool. Especially the first times that you standing there, it's like, whoa, that was a dream when I was younger. I was just dreaming of this. And it still gives me a kick and a rush, and for sure.
What are the pros and cons performing on the stages like this?
Well, I think it's really cool to just be able to play your music and also test out new things and see the reaction from people. It gives you a lot of energy. Also, going back in the studio, you can bring that energy along and make new music. Downside is, I mean, I would say also like traveling, being tired, pressure. There's always things going wrong. But yeah, mostly it's pretty nice.
But how do you take care of yourself? When you're on the spot, you kind of need to deliver the feeling and translate this to your audience, right? So that takes a lot of toll and energy. So how you recover during the week? What's your procedure to go back into the center in order to thrive and have the smile that you have?
I mean, I think it's important to, like see friends, family, to chill, have a very steady home environment, take enough rest, but also like, since 2 years, I have a coach where I can talk to. She knows the music industry as well, so it's really important also to talk about things and process things after touring. If you've been traveling for a long time, you also need some time to process that.
Can you imagine your life without music?
No. I don't think, I mean, touring is fun, but there's probably gonna be a point that you're gonna do less or you're gonna stop. But I think making music, I'm never gonna stop doing that. In what way, or I don't know. Yeah.
What was the most surprising thing that happened during your career? For example, I don't know, working with the artists that you inspired to previously and meeting them, or do you remember or recall any moment like that? That you were like, damn,
I mean,
I'm here working with this dude.
Yeah. No, there's a point you work with artists that you dreamed of working with. So suddenly you're in the studio with Hardwell or Chesto, or you're at an after party from the Chainsmokers. Like this, like weird stuff going on suddenly, especially when you're touring in the US. So that's fun, and sometimes you just have to give yourself some slaps, and then you're like, oh wow, yeah.
Do you have any artists in mind that you would like to work with? Like,
I would say I would probably not do it in like the dance industry, but more like bands like Coldplay would be super cool. Like more those type of, or like some US singers.
So would you like to explore other fields of different genres?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, now I'm really focused on dance, but maybe in 10 years I'm making totally different music. More pop, I don't know, maybe more Dutch, or we'll see.
You mentioned about the music industry being challenging and difficult, right? Let's put it this way, what would you like to see and what would you like to get rid of?
I would like to see it going more to the basics and more focus on the music itself and the quality and not the quantity.
360 Reality Audio What was your first feeling of hearing your music in different environment than stereo?
Well, the thing is, you try to imagine it before. I remember years ago when I went to London, where we talked about it as well, and you try to imagine it before, but when you're actually sitting in a room and listening to it, both on headphones and in the actual room, it's very unreal at first, because you never hear like especially a dance track in this type of room, like in this way, mixed this way as well. So for me, it was really like an eye-opener.
So were you surprised that you could do it on the headphones, that you don't need to have a speaker system?
Yeah, I was very surprised. Yeah, I had no idea.
Would you utilize this technology in your production?
I think when you know that you're gonna make a track in this way with the 360 technique, starting a track is going to be more different, because I feel like if you convert it afterwards towards 360, it's really cool, and you can really manipulate everything and make it better in a way. But if you start on a track, you can actually take advantage of it and like use sounds already in your mix that have this crazy thing going on. Like you can play with reverb and put more sounds there, and then like there's so much more options. So I think the production process itself is going to change.
So in terms of production in 360 and the future of going forward, how would you see stereo or immersive audio in the future? Would you see them going along, or would you see, because of the growth of technologies like VR, augmented reality, and so on?
I mean, I guess stereo is just going to be boring at a certain point. I guess that's where we're going to. If this is going to, and I think it is, I think this is going to be I wouldn't say the next stereo, because it's so different, but especially if we're going more towards VR and it's possible to hear this on your headphone, which it is, then 360 audio is probably just going to be the next step.
So what's the next step for you in terms of your career?
Well, like for me, shows and production is still very important, being able to play my tracks live. But I guess having 360 audio in mind, producing music in 360 and actually being able to play a show at a venue that supports 360 is probably the ultimate goal at the end.